Democratic Club, we will have this forum today, and then we will have our voting occur on August 25th through 28th. So there's a little bit of a gap between this forum and when we actually do our endorsement voting. And then I think DPCCC will have a straw poll later today, and then endorsement voting um, through a different process. And I think that only people who have returned the DPCCC questionnaire will appear on that ballot. And so I think you may not be one of those people, but you could probably follow up with DPCCC about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
I believe she is.
oh, she is? Okay, great. And so again, thank you for being here. We can start, I think, with a 2-minute opening statement, so you can introduce yourself to us and tell us about your campaign.
Hey, let me know when you're ready.
We are ready.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Kimberly White, and I have lived in El Cerrito for 23 years. My background spans more than 25 years of public sector leadership in both finance and operations. And that includes over a year in operations at BART. When BART had the oldest rail cars in the nation, I led a team that achieved $140 million of savings at BART without a single layoff and made BART rail cars the most reliable in the nation. I've cut costs and improved service many times. For nearly a decade, I've run my own firm, Karis Advisory Group, advising public sector leaders across the country on financial and operational management. I've also served on El Cerrito's Financial Advisory Board since 2002, including a year as chair, and I'm the FAB's longest serving member. Economic development is underutilized here. Too many storefronts sit empty, while neighboring cities attract shops and restaurants. And that's revenue we're leaving on the table. El Cerrito can capitalize on that. Quality of life isn't abstract. It's whether residents feel safer, permits move faster, housing is attainable, and the parks are very well maintained. Are residents better off now than they were a year ago? I'd like a council that listens to residents before making decisions and funds the basics before we fund the wish list. I'd also like to see a council that engages openly and honestly with citizens so we can resolve our issues together. I also have hope that El Cerrito can have a bustling downtown, can also have a senior center for our elders, and a library that we can be proud of.
Great. Thank you for that. And so
Mhm.
we will lead with a question from the El Cerrito Democratic Club, and then we'll alternate with the DPCCC. And
Okay.
so the first question, and these were questions that were submitted by members of the club. The first one is, what single change would you prioritize if elected to the El Cerrito City Council? Why is it your priority, and how would you go about implementing it?
I guess the single change that I would implement has to do with quality of life. It means residents are safer, streets and parks are well maintained, and permits move faster. And that way, and how we do that is that we focus on that. We provide staff with the right direction. We provide them with the tools to become successful. We listen to the community. We actually listen to their feedback before we make decisions, and we make decisions that fall within their best interest.
Great, thank you. And for the last part of that question, do you have a vision for how to implement that? How you would like to implement that?
How to improve the quality of life?
Or
Yes. And if I'm elected, one of the things that I think is important is that we make that clear that the quality of life has to be better for everyone across the board, uh, not just the loudest people, but everybody. Everybody feels good about it. But we need to make that the direction that the council heads in. So that's a leadership matter, and it's something that we would direct the city manager to move toward.
great, thank you.
Mhm.
And I think now we're going to Michael Nye for the next question.
Hi, thank you for joining us. What is the operating budget of the city of El Cerrito?
The operating budget, I believe, is about $60 million. Um, but the problem with that is that we have consistently spent more revenue than we bring in, and we have drawn down on reserves consistently for most of the last decade.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
The next question from the ECDC is, what is your vision for El Cerrito in 5 years, and what skills make you qualified to achieve that vision?
Sure. The direction for the city for me would be to have a more accountable, more um, more transparency, and again, quality of life. It means that everybody feels great about being in El Cerrito. We have a city that attracts people, makes it a city that people want to invest in. And what I mean is that we have a neighboring city that has a bustling downtown. It means that we want to make the city more attractive. That means easier permitting, parks that are well maintained. Um, it means roads that are very well maintained. It means having our city be more attractive than our neighboring cities so that people want to come here, people want to invest here, and um, people want to be here. We have a lovely community, and if we can make it more attractive for people to invest in, I think that works well for everybody, not just any one demographic. I think that serves the community better than any other thing that we could do.
Great. And for the latter part of that, could you tell us a little bit about what you view as your skills and talents that will allow you to accomplish that vision?
Absolutely. I have an extensive background in both finance and in operations, as well, which includes service delivery. So I've done that for the last 30 years. I've done that in public agencies. I'm doing that currently in my own firm, where I advise public sector leaders on both finances and operations, service delivery, improving service delivery at a cost that is cost effective. So my background is I've been doing it for 30 years and it's what I do every day. So I can bring that financial discipline, I can bring that service delivery expertise to El Cerrito as a council member.
Great, thank you. And I think we're
Mhm.
going to Irene for our next question.
Hi, Ari.
Hello. Just a short question, so maybe between 30 to 60 seconds for this one. Do you support or oppose project labor agreements? Why or why not?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. Do you support or oppose project labor agreements? Why or why not?
Project labor agreements?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, labor is an important part of our workforce, and we want to make sure that we support our unions in any way possible. Um, During my tenure at BART, worked directly with SEIU 1021, same as we have in El Cerrito. And my reputation and um, my thought process is that we have to treat labor we have to treat labor fairly. We have to give them a seat at a table, and we need to listen to them more than just at labor negotiations time. So in terms of project labor, I think that we should we should only go outside our union contingency if we don't have the capacity or reasonable capacity to perform any of our work. And
You can finish up that.
sure, if we can perform any of our work, and if the SDI unions decide that, or they decided they didn't want to do the work, then we could contract something out.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Great, thank you. And so the next question is, what city services, in your view, are working well today, and which ones are not?
Well, one of the things that we do really well in El Cerrito is affordable housing. So we've made a lot of progress with affordable housing. Um, we could do more, but one of the ways that we need to do more is to make a pencil out for the developers, excuse me. If we can attract more people to El Cerrito, then it will pencil out. We would be able to balance the um, affordable housing with the market rate housing because we can attract more people to come to El Cerrito. That's working fairly well. The things that are not working well are the things that we don't measure. We don't measure how long it takes for the permitting process. We do measure our PCI, our road index, but at one time it was in the mid 80s. Now I understand it's in the 60s. So we can do better with that. We also have a road tax that we already have, and we need to make sure that money is allocated to fixing our roads. We the one thing that we could do better is when we have a dedicated fund for something, we need to be able to demonstrate that we use that money in the way that we promised it would be delivered. For example, we have a pool tax, but recently we took about $4 million or several million. The exact amount escapes me right now, but we took money out of reserves to pay for the pool. And if we do that, we need to be able to say, this is what we did with the money you already gave us, and this is why we need more. So we need to be able to account for what we already have, and then be able to, and that's one of the ways that we um, gain trust in the community, and that it would allow us, if we were to able to do that consistently, it might allow us to go back to the community to ask for more.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
And so it feels like being on a game show. And so I think we're back to Michael Nye now for the next question.
Okay, thank you. Discrimination is prevalent in today's society. Racism, sexism, homophobia, among others. What types of discrimination do you see as prevalent in El Cerrito, and
That's a great question.
what ways would you propose to counteract them?
Sure. Ah, good question. I think that El Cerrito, in my opinion, El Cerrito is much more equitable than the rest of the country. But I do think that there are things that we could do better. That means equity starts with making every resident, not just the loudest voices, make sure that they're heard before decisions are made. It means genuinely listen close to every public comment with acknowledgement, with follow-up. And it means making sure that everyone in the community feels safe being who they are and feels safe in whatever demographic they represent. So it means treating everybody fairly. It means treating everybody the same, irrespective, and giving everybody the same opportunities, irrespective of what demographic they come from. And I think that's the best way to make sure that we advance efforts that are already gone well into improving El Cerrito.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, do you support the use of Flock or any other automatic license plate readers in El Cerrito? Why or why not?
Black cameras, not so much. Um, what I've seen is residents experience these cameras very differently. I mean, I don't discount that. Um, some feel safer knowing cameras are there. Other people feel like they're being tracked just for driving through their own community. And I think both reactions are very, very legitimate. And we need to have honest conversations about what cameras do and hold both at once. That said, I do have real concerns about cameras, and I'm not convinced the benefit outweigh the harms. But I'm open to listening to the community. Um, you know, One of my main concerns is that the cameras log everyone that goes through, irrespective of what they're doing. Data often gets shared with outside agencies, and people don't know about it. So I think in my opinion, before El Cerrito commits to something like or continue with cameras, We want to have independent audits to make sure that things are going the way they're supposed to do, very clear public reporting on who accesses the data and when, um, and why, and real limits on data retention and outside sharing. Um, so I don't want us to have any volunteer sharing with federal or immigration enforcement. Um, we also need to have regular updates and regular sunset reviews to make sure that it's what the community wants. And so the council can revisit it from time to time and determine whether it's still worth
Great, thank you.
it.
Next question is back to Irene.
Thank you, Kimberly. So our next question is, do you believe that anyone can represent anyone, and how does that affect your duty as an elected official?
That's a thoughtful question. Yes, I do think that anyone can represent everyone. Um, I believe that representing someone doesn't require that I share the same life or the exact life experience. It means that I genuinely listen to what they have to say and stay committed to finding more, stay curious, stay committed to common ground, especially in moments where people disagree. Um, anybody can deal with an issue that everybody agrees on. Those are easy. But when a resident and I see something somewhere different, my job is to hear them out, explain my thinking, and look for where our goals actually overlap. And that's what real representation, in my opinion, looks like. And staying at the table after a disagreement, and finding common ground so that we can move forward together.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Great. Okay, and so the next question is, many El Cerritans feel that the Measure C Library Initiative was a divisive experience for the city. Do you agree? And do you think that anything can or should be done to create greater unity within the city? And if so, what?
Well, I think that the vote says that it wasn't very decisive. It says that, a large number of people disagreed with some portions of the tax measure. The way that we move forward, in my opinion, is to understand why so many people disagreed with the tax measure and take that into consideration as we move forward. The only way that we can move forward together is so that everybody focuses on what we agree on and building on that. So that, in my opinion, would bring the community together, but it would also help us find a viable solution. The measure has already failed twice, and doubling or tripling down on that is going to be very difficult without understanding why so many people took issue with that. Once we find that out, then we can work on common ground and build on those things that people want. I do believe that many people who voted no on the measure actually do want a library. They just felt differently about how the measure was written. So as long as we don't assume that people who voted no don't want a library and look toward a commonality and build on that commonality, I think the community comes together and we build a better platform for finding a library that the community can be proud
Great, thank you.
of. Mhm.
Back to Michael Nye for the next question.
Okay, thank you. What kind of jobs do you propose for economic development in your city, and what types of businesses would you like to see in the city?
Could you repeat your question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
What kind of jobs would you propose for economic development in your city, and what types of businesses would you like to see in El Cerrito?
Okay. El Cerrito is a small city. Um, so I'd like to see more restaurants. I'd like to see more shops. I'd like to see more places where people in El Cerrito can shop and can visit and can get services. What that does for El Cerrito is it would build a larger tax base, helping us rely less on tax initiatives and more on attracting people to El Cerrito as a destination point. So for me, economic development means making the permitting process easier. El Cerrito should be the easiest place in the area to get a permit. That would encourage a number of people to invest. I know a lot of people who have invested in restaurants and shops outside of El Cerrito who say that the permitting process was prohibitive for them. If we can make that process easier, we can do some public-private partnerships with some of the storefronts that are empty, have people invest in them, and then not only would we have more tax revenue, then we would have more local jobs for people in our community. So I think that that's a win-win for everybody involved, not just for El Cerrito, but for our community, our our residents in terms of sales tax revenue and, possible jobs for people who work here.
Great, thank you. And I think
Mhm.
that's our last question. And so we'd like to give you the opportunity here at the end to make a 2-minute closing statement, if you'd like to do so.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me today and for your questions. I know the club cares about some of the same things that I do, a senior center and a library that residents can be proud of, a city government that residents trust. Quality of life comes down to everyday experiences living here. Are the streets and parks safe and well kept? Are permits processed quickly? Is housing attainable? Are local businesses thriving? Can the city pay for all of it without continuing to draw down on reserves? It also means a city that listens to residents before decisions are made. It means funding those things that are basic to the community before funding the wish list. El Cerrito can be better for everyone on each of these measures. And I don't think it initially it takes new taxes. It takes leadership being willing to ask hard questions and to make decisions early and measured on results instead of just intentions. So intentions go well, but we need to measure how the city's doing. My work in BART operations in the years since advising public agencies across California in my own firm taught me that service only works when people delivering the services have clear direction, the right tools, and the leaders who ask hard questions before small problems become expensive ones. And real economic development means filling empty storefronts while and making sure that we do what neighboring cities are doing so that we can attract new shops and restaurants and bring in that additional tax revenue. More than anything, I hope El Cerrito can become a city where everybody is proud to call it home and where every dollar is accounted for and every single resident feels served. Um,
Great. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday morning. In particular, I know this was a not a super convenient time for you, so I'm doubly appreciative of you taking this time to join us today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.